Rent didn't just go up, it broke something. Not in theory, not on paper, in real life. Across the country in 2026, there is a growing number of people who have jobs, who pay taxes, who worked for decades, and who now sleep in parking lots. Not because they want to, not because they gave up, but because the numbers stopped working. This is not a story about addiction or chaos or people refusing to work. It is a story about rent rising 31% in 5 years, while wages barely moved. It is about vacancy rates falling below 3% in major cities. It is about what happens when housing becomes mathematically unreachable. And the most unsettling part, many of the people living in vehicles look exactly like the people who used to be your neighbors. Picture this. It is 10:47 p.m. A grocery store parking lot, a sedan parked under a dim light. Inside, a woman in her 50s, scrolling through her phone, waiting for the lot to empty. She worked 4 decades, paid her bills, followed the rules. Her rent jumped from $1,450 to $2,050. Then her landlord raised it again. Her Social Security check was $1,540. The math did not fail because she did something wrong. It failed because the housing market moved faster than her income ever could. Between 2020 and 2025, national rents increased 31%. In many metro areas, a basic one-bedroom now costs $1,800 to $2,400 a month. Meanwhile, real wage growth barely kept up with inflation. Vacancy rates in some cities hover near 2.8%. That's not a healthy market, that's scarcity. When supply drops that low, prices do not stabilize, they surge. And when prices surge beyond income, people fall through. Not all at once, not dramatically, quietly. First, it is late payments, then it is borrowing from savings, then it is choosing which bill to skip, then it is the eviction notice. And when there are no cheaper apartments available, no second-tier option, the car becomes the fallback, not because it is comfortable, because it is the last thing left. Now here is something most people misunderstand. Living in a vehicle is not free. It is simply a different cost structure, and in 2026, even that cost structure is getting more expensive. Propane canisters that once cost $18 now cost $30 or more. Heating a recreational vehicle through winter means refilling every few days. Gas prices fluctuate, and when local ordinances force people to move constantly, fuel becomes a mandatory expense, and then there is maintenance. When your car is transportation, repairs are inconvenient. When your car is your home, repairs are existential. A dead battery is not just an annoyance, it is a night without heat. A broken transmission is not a delay. It is losing your shelter entirely. Repair costs, $1,500 here and $2,000 there, are impossible when you are already living on the margin. Even parking isn't stable. Unlike tenants, vehicle dwellers don't get due process protections. There is no court hearing before a tow truck arrives. If a vehicle is impounded, retrieving it can cost $200 to $500 immediately, plus $100 or more per day in storage. Miss a few days, the fees compound. The vehicle gets auctioned, and when that vehicle is your only shelter, repossession is not just financial, it is total displacement. Cities argue, enforcement is about public safety, clean streets, order, and those concerns are real, but towing vehicles does not solve homelessness. It relocates it, block by block, lot by lot, out of sight. Now layer in another pressure point, insurance. In 2026, auto and RV insurance premiums have risen sharply, particularly for older vehicles. Full coverage on an aging RV that once cost $450 annually can now exceed $1,200 to $1,800. Liability-only policies have also climbed. Insurance companies have tightened underwriting standards. Older models, high-risk zip codes, prior claims are all reasons for denial. Without insurance, people cannot legally park in many RV parks. Without legal parking, they are pushed onto public streets. Public streets mean tickets. Tickets mean impound risk. The system does not need to criminalize someone directly. It simply raises compliance costs beyond reach. And here's where the demographic shift becomes impossible to ignore. Vehicle homelessness is rising fastest among older Americans. Roughly 700,000 elderly individuals are now estimated to be living in cars, vans, or RVs, a 250% increase since 2010. Why? Because the average Social Security benefit is around $1,540 per month. Average one-bedroom rent nationally now exceeds that. It's arithmetic. Healthcare costs climb. Prescription prices rise. Food inflation remains elevated. Fixed income does not adjust fast enough. Savings get depleted, paying for routine expenses, dental work, car repairs, and rising utilities. When rent surpasses income, housing is what gets cut. Not by choice, by necessity. Retirement was supposed to mean stability. For a growing number of Americans, it now means adapting to mobility. And then there is the financing wave that few predicted. During 2021 and 2022, recreational vehicle sales exceeded 600,000 units annually. Many were financed over 10 to 15-year terms. Interest rates were low, payments looked manageable, then rates rose. Adjustable costs increased, insurance premiums climbed, repair costs surged. Loan delinquencies on recreational vehicles have been rising steadily, over 30% in 2024, and climbing further into 2025. Repossession in this context does not mean losing a recreational vehicle. It means losing the only roof you have. Over 240,000 students in 2025 were identified as living in vehicles. Estimates for 2026 suggest that number may exceed 300,000. That is not a fringe population. That is the size of a mid-sized American city. Children trying to complete homework without stable internet. Families rotating parking locations to avoid tickets. Morning routines shaped by where enforcement is least active. When instability becomes normal during childhood, the long-term consequences are not temporary. Education disruption increases. Health outcomes worsen. Social isolation deepens. This is not a moral commentary. It is an economic one. Housing supply has not kept pace with demand. Zoning constraints, construction costs, land prices, and regulatory complexity have limited affordable development. Meanwhile, population growth and urban concentration continue. When supply is tight and demand is strong, prices rise. When prices rise beyond wage growth, displacement follows. Vehicle dwelling is not a cultural shift. It is a market signal. It signals that entry-level rental housing is insufficient, that fixed-income households are priced out, and that emergency savings buffers are too thin to absorb rent spikes. And the broader economy feels it. Workers pushed further from job centers increase commute times and fuel costs. Employers face labor shortages when housing near workplaces becomes unaffordable. School districts absorb higher mobility rates among students. This is not a story about individual failure. It is a story about structural imbalance. Vehicles once symbolized independence, mobility, opportunity, freedom of movement. In 2026, for many Americans, they represent containment, the smallest possible unit of shelter left within reach. The question is not whether this is visible in your city. It likely already is. The question is whether we recognize it as an economic indicator, not just a social issue. Because when a growing share of working, elderly, and school-age Americans cannot access stable housing, that is not a fringe problem. That is a market condition. Have you noticed more vehicles parked long-term where you live? Do you think this is a temporary correction or a deeper structural shift in the housing economy? Share your perspective in the comments. If you want to keep understanding how economic trends reshape everyday American life, quietly, gradually, and often without headlines, subscribe to The State's Economy. Thank you for watching.